So there are a lot of ways to solve systems of equations, and in this lesson we're going to talk about doing it through the elimination method. Now, one thing that we want to understand when solving through the elimination method is that we want to find a number and its opposite. So to give you an example, if we had 2, we would also want to find the opposite of 2, which is negative 2. So if we had 2x or 2y, the opposite of that would be negative 2x, and the opposite of 2y would be negative 2y. We want to be able to identify those. Now, when we have two equations, so let's say we have equation, let's call this equation 1 here, and this one's equation 2. We want to see if we can find the opposites. If we don't see anything that are opposites right away, so if you notice there's a 3x and then there's an x, there's a 2y and then there's a 3y. So nothing's an opposite. But the great thing with the elimination method is we can actually make an opposite. So when you're doing that, the number one thing is to find a variable that's by itself. So can you see anything that has a variable by itself? Yeah, the x. The x is all by itself. So that's the easiest one to go with. So when we're doing the elimination method, you just want to go ahead and multiply this by whatever would make the opposite. So if x is here, we know that we have a positive 3x, so we need to make this a negative 3x. So I know that I would want to multiply everything by a negative 3. And you have to multiply everything by a negative 3. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this 2 really quick, just so we don't get that confused and think we're taking it to the second power. I just wanted to identify equation 1 and 2 for you. So when we do that, we multiply. So I'll do negative 3 times x gives me a negative 3x. Negative 3 times a positive 3y gives me a negative 9y. And then negative 3 times positive 7 gives me a negative 21. Good. Then I'll take equation 1 and I'll rewrite it down here. So I'll do 3x, and it doesn't matter which one's on top and which one's on the bottom, plus 2y equals 14. Great. Now, what elimination method allows you to do is it allows you to add down. So negative 3x and 3x actually cancel out. So these would just cancel right out. So now all I'm left with, and this is the great thing when solving with systems of equations through elimination, you just combine like terms basically. Negative 9y plus 2y gives me a negative 7y, and negative 21 over 14 gives me a negative 7. So I'm not saying over like a fraction, but this is just over that. But when we add them together, negative 21 plus 14 gives me a negative 7. And then we solve for y, so I would divide both sides. And now I'm left with y is equal to negative 1. Great. But we're not done yet. We still have a few more things that we want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this work right here, because now what I have to do is I have to take negative 1, the negative 1 that I got for y, and I have to go ahead and plug that in to one of my original equations. You can choose any equation that you like. You can do equation 1 or 2. It does not matter. I'm going to choose 1 just because x is already I'm going to choose 2 just because x is already by itself. So let's go back, and I'm going to write it back in that color. So I have x plus 3, and I'm going to put parentheses here, is equal to 7. So what I did was I just took the y and put parentheses there, because I'm going to say that y equals negative 1, so I'm just going to plug the negative 1 in there. So now we know that x, and then 3 times negative 1 gives me my negative 3, so this plus is representing it as a positive 3. So 3 times negative 1 is my negative 3, that's why it's there, is equal to 7, and then I have to add, actually I moved a step ahead for you guys. Let's see here. We add 3 to both sides. I already gave you guys the answer. and then x is equal to 10. So now I know that I have x equaling 10 and I have y equaling -1. So my answer will be written in a point form, so it would be 10, -1. And what you want to do is you'll take those two numbers, you can plug it back into any one of the problems, and see if it works, and that will actually be your answer. So that's how you would do it with through systems of equations with the elimination method.